What is up, y'all? You are checking out the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm Ant, and I am joined by my dude.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the world's most Marcus, infamous CDP, and I asked Ant here to allow me to have this time to, excuse me, make a little PSA. I am tired of people using Mark or Mark as an insult because like we're all wrestling fans. So in some ways we are all marks. We are all smarts in a way. So I don't know, just something about that is like a little bit of pet peeve. But then again, like the Irish whip could be a pet peeve for wrestling. But that's all I got. And back over to you.
Well, I agree with you because I feel like a lot of the wrestling fans, if you aren't into it, you're not really, listen, I don't care who you are. Like if I were to walk by a wrestler, whether it be Stone Cold, Triple H, Undertaker, or it could be like a fucking Andrade, or it could be even a Wardlow or someone younger, I'm still gonna sort of get a little smirk on my face because it's cool. You see someone that you watch all the time and someone that you like and you really get into the characters. I said off air that like for me, like I like watching wrestling to sort of like, it's for me, it's not about who wins, it's how they won, how they got there. I also look at things like who's gonna have the most benefit after that match, right? So like if Edge, or I also look at it like who benefits from this. If Edge wins, will he suffer the consequence of winning? Or if he loses, will, is it necessary? So I look at it as like, necessary, not necessary. And I think as fans, we make the company. I feel like even Jerry Lawler said, which I'm going to plug here, my Broken Skull Sessions recap will be dropping with Jerry Lawler soon. And in his special, it was filmed during the beginning of COVID, and he talked about how it was really hard to perform without the fans there. So, yeah, we might be marks, we might be really into it, but that's okay because, like what do you call people who go to art, like artists, singers, anyone that has a public platform, and you go to celebrate and watch them? You go to see a singer, you're going to be singing, you're going to be going crazy. It's just you appreciate and like what they're doing. It speaks to you. So I hear you, us fans. Yeah, I'll be a smart. It speaks to me. It makes me happy when I'm feeling sad. So
One last thing before we start.
yeah,
And as you mentioned Jerry Lawler, because leading off from that, last week I said that Dustin Rhodes had apologized because, as you guys know, last week on Raw was the one where Goldust dressing like a shaft. Well, he came out the shaft. You see, he came out in the afro and the blackface, and I had said that Dustin Rhodes had apologized. After doing some research, I couldn't find anything about a public apology with that, but as you see with colorful language for Jerry Lawler and the Godwinns wearing Confederate t-shirts and some other things that was going on around that time around this episode. And, plus the fact, Cody is married to Brandy. So, it's like, it's one thing you got to give a take with that. But moving on for that, sir.
yeah. Well, no, I do think it's important to talk about because look at Rowdy Piper, back at WrestleMania 6 when he painted half of his body black because he was fighting Bad News Brown. It wasn't involved in the storyline. There was no sort of like, it wasn't like Bad News Brown there's no reason to do it at all, but there wasn't a storyline for it either. So it was just very strange to see him do that, randomly show up at WrestleMania 6 like that.
Now, also, I will also say that it's been publicly known that Dustin Rhodes has been suffering through substance abuse issues around at the time. So maybe, maybe the cloudiness of the judgment at the time. And then you think about the Dark Side of the Ring episode where I forgot, like, and the name of the pill that they use or whatever to bomb wrestlers and knock them out that they mentioned in that episode.
Oh God. Xanax, Percocets.
No.
I'm saying hardcore drugs. I was just watching the Kurt Angle recap, so sorry.
I know. No, I don't know. But Yeah, just just like one thing you gotta think about is like, and also I would also say I would be foolish I would be foolish of me to like to ask for Dusty Rose to apologize or publicly apologize, because that one thing you gotta think about is like it's not necessarily him, it could be his
Yeah.
bosses. He was just trying out here to do his job, and then the substance abuse, the WWE substance abuse policy wasn't really in effect, as I shall point out with HBK a little bit later, but we shall get into that a little bit later.
I think also too, even just like this whole gimmick, the artist formerly known as Goldust, like he's wearing very provocative stuff and things that are, everyone's like, okay, he shows up at WrestleMania wearing a fucking like teddy lingerie, so
Gay
it's
pant, pretty much.
yeah, so it's we'll get to there when we get there, but it's odd. And speaking of the Godwinns, I will say I've talked to Henry Godwinn before, and
Really?
he's very, very cool, but we don't know behind closed doors how people truly are. But the conversation I've had, he was very cool. But I appreciate you speaking on that, because even for me, I don't even think I would have find it funny back then. I don't know, maybe because that's how ignorant and crazy those times were, where it's like we didn't think seeing stuff like I was watching. I know this is taking a big leap. Just go with me. All right. Come with me, P.
All right.
I was watching The Real World from 2000, right? And so they're in New Orleans. And in the scene, there's like only two African American people in the house. One of them is biracial, one of them is not. One of them is just straight African American. And they're on this like they're doing this like because they were visiting some sort of like swamp alligator tour ride type thing. And the guy, the dude who was conducting the tour, saw a bunch of they were some kind of like I forgot the name. They were a type of a bird, but they were sort of the birds that they weren't crows. Maybe they're cranes. I don't know, but they're black cranes, and I don't know if cranes were a word. I don't know, dude. They were a type of bird. And the tour guide said, yeah, those birds are black. We call them, and he said the N-word. And during the episode, the girl's trying to deal with that, and she's trying to tell her roommates, like, it's hard to hear that, obviously, because he just said it like without thinking about it, without being just whatever. So for 2000, for people, today it's still prevalent, but I can see 1990 a lot of people seeing that and just be like, oh, it's just over the top. That's just what it is.
I'm actually surprised. See, I didn't watch The Real World back then, honestly. There's only like a few reality TV shows that we'll get into, but that's another thing. But I'm actually surprised MTV actually let that air.
Yeah, they did a whole. Well, what's cool about The Real World is the first couple of seasons they deal with a lot of real topic like AIDS. They deal with race. They deal with it was more about society and humans. Whereas as it got more put on towards the years, they made it more produced and made it more about, well, who's gonna fight with who, and this person's gonna. Whereas in the beginning, it was just about these young people really exploring different themes that they never really dealt with before. And this one girl, she's a Mormon, and this is her first encounter with an African American person. So she's very ignorant to things, and she's asking like, why is it offensive if I say the N-word, and rappers they say it, and it's very interesting to see the way it was back then. But hello everybody. You are here for Raw Is War, and that's okay, because we're uncensored. This is what we do. Uncooked, uncorked, uncensored, you all. But yes, today we are here. Thank you, P, and I'll be a smart. Well, what is your name? What's your official moniker gonna be?
Well, I played my Well, no, I believe my moniker is going to be the world's most smartest. I did it in a Facebook group. That I'm still will to this day, but yep, you all can call me the world's most smartest, infamous CPP.
I will be down to call you that, infamous, and I'll call you infamous for sure. Okay.
Well, pizza's worse. Well, pizza's worse too.
P. All right. Well, we'll go back and forth. We'll have an identity crisis here.
Well,
Kind of like
Amp, I got some. Well, Amp, I got some facts about like tonight's Raw.
Yeah, so we'll talk about Raw. So it's from January 12th, 1998. They're live in Pennsylvania. They're at Penn State, which
attendance is 8,628. Yikes.
That's not really a lot. But
well, honestly, when you think about like today's attendance, I mean, I don't know though. They're still making money regardless. So I guess I can't say that.
Yeah. But what's also noticeable with WWE is they would go to arenas that didn't have a lot of people to sit in. You know, one of the WrestleMania was held in Hartford, and that arena holds like, I don't know, maybe like 1,500 people. So they yeah.
Oh, another interesting thing about tonight's Raw, this is actually the 5th anniversary of Raw.
Wow. Oh yeah, because 1993, right?
Yep, and I believe like Cole said something about that within the first match, so I kind of surprised they didn't make a big deal about that. But then again, in Vince McMahon's eyes, oh no, pal, it gotta be 10 or higher to go to make it be higher. We gotta make a spectacular event.
I love your impression. It's like a mix of Vince McMahon and
we shall talk about impressions later.
Oh, we'll get there. Yes, we will. All right. So we start off with DX. They're inside a limo, and they have a big announcement tonight. HBK stands up in the limo and he pulls his pants off. In the roof, you know, the little rooftop opens up.
Of course, HBK showing his ass on TV. Vince's 90s Michaels.
Yeah, sophomoric stuff from HBK. But I mean, you know, just their way of sort of being badasses and showing that they're going to do what they want. Our first match is for the WWE Tag Team titles. It's a fatal four-way. The Tag Team Champions, the New Age Outlaws, defending against the Godwinns, the Truth Commission, and the Headbangers. Not a lot of notes on this one. I have here that Billy ends up hitting Phineas with brass knuckles, and he gets the win. Again, the New Age Outlaws finding a way to retain the titles. What do you think of the New Age Outlaws? Do you think they're good tag team champions for the time?
Well, besides about some future things that came out about Road Dogg in the future, but that's another thing. I mean, I love New Age Outlaws back in the day. You know, that intro that came in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, etc. And also as FYI people, we both of us will probably not be very knowledgeable about football because I remember back in 1998 I was probably 9 years old at the time, so I didn't get into football until like late. So for those of you like under the YouTube comments, I'm pretty sure you will let us know about like many of the football references that we might have missed or might not have missed. Road Dogg and Billy comes out in the Florida State t-shirt. I'm not exactly sure that was like anything to do with the bowl at the time. Let's see. Penn State went. Let's see. Trying to look. Penn State went 9-3, 5-3 in the Big Ten. I have no idea what any of that is right now.
Me either. It sounds like a different language.
But yeah, I have nothing about this match. It only lasted like 4 minutes and 10 seconds. You know, I have no notes about it.
Yeah, there really wasn't much to go off of it. I mean, at the time, there wasn't. You know, it looks like the Legion of Doom are going to be the ones they're going after. So it's just sort of filler to kind of just put the Outlaws in action. So after that, we get a Legion of Doom promo. They're just, you know, just showing, you know, all their talent and what happened to them. We then see Stone Cold Steve Austin showing up in a truck backstage. And I'm excited.
Like there's also one of the note. I mean, making notes about this match.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It should be noted that like the WWF at the time, they didn't start experiencing with like multi-man matches as far as like triple threats and fatal four ways until the previous year in 1997. Because I don't know if you guys will watch Wrestling Bios on YouTube. You should check them out. You know, they're really good. They did like a yeah, and I'm pretty sure you probably did one yourself of like the WWF in your house Ground Zero pay-per-view, the first time HBK and Shawn Michaels met. And then during that match, it was Farouk versus Savio Vega versus Crust of DOA. And then the triple threat match was, for lack of better word, shit. um, the guys that looked like they didn't have no idea what they were doing. I need to watch the show myself to figure out, get my own personal perspective in real lifetime and see how it is. So when you look at this like four-way dance, you could tell that the WWF or the performers at the time, they were still experimenting before they actually perfected the art. It's definitely not no WrestleMania 20 or 30 about all.
No, it was a yes. Interesting feel for you, like you said, they were just sort of the year before actually doing the matches, and that Ground Zero match, I agree. I have to go back and look at it because I remember when I was a kid, I would watch that pay-per-view a lot, and I don't really remember focusing much on that match, so maybe I should go back and check it out. But yeah, they're experimenting, trying new things. That's all right. We all still experiment. Sometimes hard drugs, sometimes, Anyways, in the back, we see Stone Cold, and he nails a stunner on the Godwinns, which was a great way to say fuck you guys. I mean, Then he comes down to the ring, he being Stone Cold, and Michael Cole interviews him, and Michael Cole says that Stone Cold, you will be a marked man in the Royal Rumble match. And Austin takes a little pen marker, he writes a target on his chest, and Stone Cold says, I do what I want, when I want, and I don't care if I'm the target. So again, Austin, for me, the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, a lot of people really like it. I go back and forth with it because there's really no real storyline for that match aside from the 30 men. So it's kind of like the buildup is going to be, okay, the top guy is going to have to try to go over everybody, or the bad guy is going to escape. Like there's all just sort of different things. And right now, Austin is just building him against everybody at the Royal Rumble.
This is one of Austin's most legendary promos, by the way, because you remember the image of him taking off the shirt and writing the marker around the shirt. You can tell they really push him. Also, I gotta say, a lot of people criticize Kevin Dunn for rightful reasons for his camera angles that he did. Matter of fact, I think there's some YouTube video that shows comparing AEW camera cuts to WWE camera cuts. And holy shit, dude, there's maybe on one episode of Raw, 80 or 90 camera cuts in one show. But when Stone Cold came out and they did those certain angles when he was came out in the truck and he walked towards the ramp and they showed the overhead view, kind of like WWE 2K22 camera view style when you walk up to the screen or whatever. I just love that, dude. I mean, I really wish they would do that nowadays. Along with them doing promos near the top of the stage, and then the crowd is in the background. You know how they did with back in the 80s, you had Mean Gene and maybe Macho Man or Hulk Hogan, whatever, at the top of the stage. They cut those promos. Really wish they bring that back. I think they did it with AJ Styles when he was WWE champion. Back in 2017, 18, is whatever.
I feel like Austin was just fucking great at whatever he was given, and he just looked like you said, that image of him taking the shirt off and then putting the target on his chest. It definitely symbolized that he didn't give a fuck. Come at me, I'm here, and that's why a lot of people liked him, because he just was a modern dude that's just going to take on whatever,
Right. All right. So
yep. We then move on. We get a promo. Raw's brought to us by Snickers. Fuck yes. Remember the old school Snicker commercials where it would be fucking Betty White on the field, and then he's playing football or gets tackled or something, and then it's eat a Snickers, it'll help. And then she eats a Snicker and she's a football player. And it's, anyways,
RP
big
to
Snickers fan. Big Snickers fan.
As an RP to better excuse me, RP to Betty, by the way.
Yeah, I love Betty. She's great, man. Rest in peace. We then
next
go.
is I'm sorry, my bad.
Oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Next match is absolutely nothing. It's Kurrgan with the Jackal defeats two jobbers. And I have the names as Jimmy Cicero and Lance Diamond. That last one sounds familiar. I'm trying to figure out the word. It sounds like somebody, I'm going to say ECW.
Simon Donovan. That's who you're thinking of.
Yeah, right? That's probably what it was. Again, people in the comments, please sound off.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I had said like people in the comments, please sound off if we're like mistaken about like these jobbers. But yeah, this match is pretty much nothing. 2 minutes and 28, the Kurrgan just smashed them. Matter of fact, he pinned one of the guys, and then he grabbed the other dude, stacked them on top of them. Like Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 38 style.
Yep.
And just put a boot on top of them and just 1, 2, 3, we're done.
That was it. A moment did happen. It was a quick moment that happened right before the match. A truck shows up and it blocks his. I need to go home. I should be high and drunk over here. It blocks DX's limo from leaving. So there's a little tidbit there. Something happens. Yes, that match with Kurrgan, obviously, he was going to dominate. Nothing really happened with him afterwards. After like a couple of months, he did a couple of things. Then he joined the Oddities. Then he did like a thing alone for like a minute, and then he was just gone.
I should say one interesting note. The Jackal was on commentary. He joined JR, Kevin Kelly, and Michael Cole. Well, wait, yeah, Michael Hope was at the room. Yeah, Michael was doing commentary. It was JR, Kevin, and Cole doing commentary. The Jackal joined them. And then he says, after Kurrgan wins the Rumble, you're fucking right. Jack says that he'll have them like working at the Indies for $50, which is funny because Don Callis actually wound up working for like many of the big independent companies like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and I guess you could call AEW indie or like the biggest indie or whatever, or the second biggest company in the world. Please, people don't get mad at me. Oh, but I kind of find the irony in that. That's all.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We then see Triple H in the backstage in the limo, and Owen Hart runs out and he attacks Triple H inside the limo, finally getting his hands on Triple H after the attacks the past couple of weeks. Great. I love seeing Owen Hart. Great wrestler, great guy.
My thing is, how come like I guess in hindsight, it wouldn't be a smart idea to try to jump Triple H, and then China and HBK was right there. And then actually it didn't want it to be like a smart beneficial decision for Owen. And as y'all will see around this episode, my pet peeve is I kind of hate how weak they kind of put Owen. I mean, I guess he kind of gets some payback, which I'll cover that later. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, and with the next match, may I?
Yeah, well, before we get there, let's talk about something that happens right before it. So Mero comes out and he says he wants to make things right. And then he welcomes Sable.
Actually, dude, I was about to do like the Mero. I was about to do the Mero interest like I did like last week, though. I was about to lead into, but
no, go ahead, take it over. Pretend like that didn't happen.
We kind of ruined it now, my guy. So I can't do it.
Well, go ahead. So who comes out? So he introduces Sable, and then what happens?
And then of course it's Goldust, dressed in pretty provocative clothing, and that's me being nice. And then Mero says that among the lines that now we should finally get along, and then Goldust or Gold Sable, what the fuck are we gonna call it? Sable Dust. Thank you. Okay, so Sable Dust seductively takes off Mero's robe, and I don't know, I get total gay erotica vibes from this.
Well, I mean, Goldust's character was very, flamboyant and very out there, and I don't know. I mean, that was always my question with WWE, and that's the problem too. Is they always. Problem with WWE too is whenever they did have a character who might have been gay or bi or whatever, they'd always make them almost like predators and kind of like almost like you wouldn't want to, like, you know, he's touching up on Razor Ramon, he's touching up on Ahmed Johnson, he's touching up on, and you know, there are a lot of gay athletes and a lot of gay people. First of all, gay people aren't predators, number one. A predator is a predator. You know, there's no category of who's a predator. A fucking regular person walking down the street can be a predator, you know? So it doesn't really matter what your sexual orientation is or who you love. But WWE, if you look back, even Billy and Chuck, Rico, all these guys that they've made sort of flamboyant and have all been inappropriate with it, which I don't really think is the right way. But again, we're in 1998, so.
And then there's, you know, as you guys have seen, there's a lot of questionable things that like they did in 1998. Now I will say with like Cornette, Michael Hayes, who else? Cornette, Michael Hayes, Bruce Prichard, you know, like, you know, right now the backstage scenes, and Vince Russo. So that's one little like piece of dynamite by itself.
Yeah.
Running the whole Crash TV, trying to mix with pro wrestling era. You got, you know, Cornette's old school views, clashing with Russo's views. I'm just wondering who was the head writer for this segment right here. Anyway, it's Mero versus the man they call Vader.
Yes, in the Hall of Fame. His wife, I loved all the comments. A lot of people were like, is he married to Suzanne Summers? And I was completely thinking that when I saw her come out. Do you know who Suzanne Summers is?
Honestly, like, you can blame it on the marijuana or whatever, though, but I'm having a brain fart right now.
So Suzanne Summers was in the show Three's Company. She was the blonde.
Oh, right.
So as she got older, she kind of looks like Vader's wife. And so people are like, Vader was married to Suzanne Summers? What do we... Fun fact, I heard that Vader smelled that he like never really washed his single.
Oh, I am so glad you brought that up, because like you know, during the match, you like, well, as with any Vader match, actually, you know, you could only imagine. Well, honestly, you're gonna go out there and wrestle. You're obviously not gonna smell good. You're gonna sweat. You're gonna like perspire or whatever. But then the fact you had to wrestle Vader, and then imagine being hit with a Vader bomb, and then he don't wash or do anything like that. I wonder that's why one main reason why Vince never really pushed him to get like the world title or have a dominate like he did in other promotions.
Yeah, I don't know, because he was dominant. But it's where he used as like a joke, except for February. In February, he takes on Kane. We'll get there. But so this match, the match starts. The real Sable comes down to the ring,
and the crowd pops.
Yeah, of course, they freaking loved her. She ends up kicking Gold Sable Dust, and then Mero tells Sable to leave. Vader clotheslines Marc Mero outside and tosses him into the ring steps. Vader nails a Vader bomb, but then the artist formerly known as Goldust ends up nailing Vader with a coconut that he took out of his bra. And he breaks it over Vader's head, and Vader gets the win by disqualification. These two will be taking on each other at the Royal Rumble. Goldust having the advantage. And yeah, that was just sort of a way to sort of set up more to the rivalry for Royal Rumble.
And notice they didn't bring up, like, when they was talking about how Goldust came out in provocative costumes. Notice they didn't like bring up the one he put out last week. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they did. They talked about like all the other ones. You're right. I did notice that. I'm like, they probably realized back then they were fucking pieces of shits for doing that.
Exactly. And also another thing, out of all the ridiculous, matter of fact, we should make a list. We should totally like what culture this shit. We should like make a list of all the most ridiculous wrestling weapons that you ever seen. And I gotta say, a coconut gets to be up there.
Yeah, they like to use coconuts to nail opponents. It's very strange.
Well, to be fair, I guess like that's not really anything new. I mean, Roddy Piper did hit Jimmy Snuka with a coconut in the Piper's Pit. So
and Sean O'Haire did to Rikishi. So we then come back to Raw and we see that Stone Cold has attacked Vader backstage. Again, Vader will also be competing in the Royal Rumble match. So Austin's trying to take out people before they can take him out. We then have a tag match.
Before that, there's a little piece of thing that happened before.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Anytime you want to go.
Man, this California weed got my words slurring. Anyway, two things that happened before this match. Diaz come out, they looking battered, HBK looking shirtless, whatever, like there. There's no Owen. Also, they then do a Slam of the Week where they go back when Lawrence Taylor confronts Bam Bam Bigelow at when was WrestleMania? Like, when was that? 1995, 6? Am I close?
Oh wait, I thought that happens after this match.
No, that happened before that match, sir.
Oh damn, what the hell am I on? I think I'm on the lead.
But yeah, and then the commentators also announced when the last time a major athlete got involved with the WWF, so you can tell they're really hyping this up. And then they also hype up about will Mike Tyson will actually show up at the Royal Rumble. But then again, I kind of hate to try to play off at the end, as we shall see next week, it worked out for him. But I kind of hate how they kind of played out how Mike Tyson is going to wrestle,
Yeah.
But
yeah, I gotta freaking figure this out because I'm super out of it.
Anyway,
wait, let me get my fucking papers together. Okay, I think I might be out of order. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Just I think you're gonna have to take me on this journey with you. So next, so I guess DX do come out because they do come out again later though, right? Because I know I had at some point they talk about Kane and we'll get there, but they did. You're right. They had a little small like that's where we were. Okay, now I see it. It's right here. Okay, yes, sir.
We good?
Yes, I see it because I wrote it. Okay, yep. All right. Here we go.
I mean, I can take the lead. You want me to?
Listen, whatever it takes. So we'll get there. When it comes, listen, I'm gonna let you know beforehand. When it comes to WrestleMania, and we'll get there, you're gonna have to take the lead on the main event and the match prior, and we'll talk why off camera, off air. But anyways, we'll get there. So next we have the Nation of Domination, the Intercontinental Champion, The Rock and D'Lo Brown with Kama Mustafa taking on the world's most strongest man, Mark Henry, and the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. And
I noticed The Rock didn't come out with the Intercontinental belt either.
No, he didn't have it. He sort of just walked, which is weird. It's like they would do that sometimes where they wouldn't walk out with the titles, and you're like, aren't you the champion, sir? So Rock tells Mark Henry he's going to rip Mark Henry's shirt off his fat ass, and he tells Ken Shamrock if he has any guts to fight him right now. The match happens, and during the match, Henry actually attacks Ken Shamrock from behind and lands a big splash. Rock pulls off Mark Henry's shirt and reveals a Nation of Domination shirt underneath. So Mark is officially joining the Nation of Domination. Backstage, Farouk looks upset about Mark Henry being in the Nation, and The Rock says, it's all for you, Farouk. So let's talk here. What do you think about Mark joining? And obviously, things are not looking good for The Rock and Farouk with the Nation of Domination.
This was probably low key one of the best things to probably happen to him because it's been came out in later on interviews that Vince McMahon regretted signing Mark Henry because he had trouble getting adjusted to professional wrestling than powerlifting. But then he was around a third generation superstar like The Rock. He was around other good workers like Kama Mustafa and Farouk and everything else. And one thing I noticed though, a little low key, have you ever noticed that The Rock and Ric Flair got the same stumps, like the little shake and then
when they do the little kick. Yep.
The Rock also made some football references with again people in the comments. Please sound off. He mentions Joe Paterno, which is the longtime Nittany Lions coach for the Penn State. I noticed I know this is pre-electrifying man of sports entertainment, Rocky Maivia Rock here, but if we could get a chance, I want to try to find a shoot interview of when did The Rock discover the spine buster people elbow combination? Because back then he used to do the shoulder breaker and then he did the people's elbow, and then
you see that soon, right? Not the but I feel like I'd say 2000, right?
Yeah, I'll say the same thing. 99, 2000 when The Rock adjusted the spine buster, and then the crowd just pops because it's so much of a better transition. instead of the shoulder breaker and then people's elbow, which was, still cool, still popped the crowd back then.
Well, what was
Even though,
go ahead.
Even though like around this time, it wasn't like known as the people's elbow yet, per se.
Well, and I was going to get there eventually in the coming weeks because I've been watching. I'm actually I'm ahead. I like to watch these sort of ahead of time. So I just finished WrestleMania. In the coming weeks, he will start to use it, but you'll notice it's not his finisher. A lot of men kick out to it. So when you see it and you're like, wait a minute, he kicked out of the rock bottom, you're like, oh, or I'm sorry, the people's elbow, you're like, yeah, he did. Because that wasn't his main move at the time. He would hit it and a lot of people would kick out. But yes, so go ahead, back to you. Sorry.
Got you. And side note, I want that Nation of Domination t-shirt that Mark Henry had on, like with the fist. I want it. I was trying to search online for it, dude, but I don't think they're selling anymore. But if there's anybody within the WWE or any like traders on eBay, let me know. Name price. I am very interested.
Nation of Domination. Dude.
Oh, also, when the Rock and Farouk was arguing and everything else, have you ever seen the Table for Three episode with Farouk, Mark Henry, and Godfather?
No, but I will watch it.
It's a really good episode because they were like talking about the controversy that we discussed last week about the Nation of Domination. Yeah. And I love that episode because of course Dwayne could be there for obvious reasons, probably shooting like Fast and Furious 20 or whoever.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, The Rock actually sends R3 in my presence, and it's an autographed picture of him. And Farouk was like, "I'm gonna beat his ass next time I see him."
Listen, I freaking gotta say, Farouk is a fucking powerful dude. I would not mess with Ron Simmons.
Who wouldn't though? He's a former lineman. I'm like an all-state lineman, first ever African American world champion, legit one of the toughest men in the business. And no disrespect to The Rock though, but in a real life shoot fight, I got Ron.
Oh, I take Ron over anyone at that point. Okay, yeah. So it's different person joining the Nation. Cool, interesting. To see Henry join. We then come back with DX. They come out. Triple H trash talks Owen Hart. Shawn Michaels mentions Mike Tyson, and Triple H mocks Mike's talking voice. Mike Tyson's very sophisticated, I guess, talking voice.
I can actually do a Mike Tyson impression myself. How you was mentioned about my Vince McMahon impression. I used to do a little. You want me to do it now or what?
Yeah, go right ahead. This is uncensored.
I got you.
That's right. I can suck the baby. I was sucking the now later, suck out the chocolate album.
And then this wouldn't be the first time that Triple H had made fun of Mike Tyson's voice. Like he does it like constantly. Like whenever like Tyson bring up to the years. I remember that on Raw when like they had that episode feud with Chris Jericho, and then Triple H used it then. During this segment, a bloody Owen Hart shows up on the Titantron, and I don't know what Diaz did to him in that limo, but it was like kind of like, or I don't know what type of blade job or ketchup or whatever they put on Owen, but like it's like it's like the spot of the blood was like so weird because I'm thinking like if you got hit in the nose, right? Wouldn't the blood like necessarily like leak down on your face? I mean, of course you got to think about there was rumbling in the limo, but I don't know.
I don't know. Yes, Owen Hart does appear on the Tron. But before he does, Shawn Michaels says that Mike Tyson's never had a shimmy to the sweet chin music. But if Mike Tyson sticks his nose in my business at the Royal Rumble at WrestleMania, I'm going to dance all over your face. And then Shawn Michaels addresses Kane. And then that's when Owen Hart comes on Titantron, like you said. He's bleeding on the nose. And Owen says, I'm going to make your life hell.
It's not even the nose. It's like the blood spot, like the blood spot they had him in. It was like on his right side of his face, and like I said, you.
Oh, I thought it was on his nose.
No, sir. Like no, sir. You look back, right? On like the blood spot is like, I guess you can see it leaking for his nose, and you can guess you can account for them rumbling in the and in a limo or whatever. But it's like I thought that was just a weird spot, just
It's like AJ Styles.
yeah, yeah. I guess like that was like just totally like random video game generated blood. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They were very odd. You said the catch up. I love that. So Triple H calls him out to the ring, meeting Owen Hart. Owen Hart comes down with a crutch, and he says he'll break Triple H's other leg. But the referee separates everyone from the ring, and you get sort of like a separation. And that is the end of Raw's War. We're going to go into the war zone. Do you have any comments to make before we take our quick break?
No, sir. I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
I said it's not a very eventful episode, even though it's a week before the Rumble. But I have nothing else to add on that.
I was just the thing for me, and then we're gonna get into the war zone with Owen Hart. Was I was so excited, like watching it back. I didn't realize how like important he was during this time, because I thought after Brett left it was kind of like whatever, but he's sort of his angle with DX was a serious thing. Brett just left. He was the only Owen, the only Hart family member remaining. And it was a bigger deal. But then I feel like by the time he got to Mania, it's sort of like ran out of steam. But we'll get there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you're going to come on to the War Zone. We have DOA taking on the Rock and Roll Express. Mankind going on one-on-one against the artist formerly known as Goldust. And we have a situation with a lot of the wrestlers in the Royal Rumble match. Stay tuned. The Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast family would like you to check out Anchor.
With Anchor, you can record, edit, and publish your own podcast for free.
Distributing your podcasts has never been this easy with Anchor, which allows you to send out your podcast to platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and much, much more.
Get uncensored and download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome back. We are now in the War Zone. But before we get into the War Zone, I want to thank you all for checking us out. Definitely use anchor.fm. It is the greatest tool to create and distribute your podcast for free. So definitely use anchor.fm. You can go online and search it on your, whatever website you use, Google Chrome, whatever your search engine is, or you could download it on the mobile app, anchor.fm. Definitely check that out. Thank you for listening to us wherever you're listening to us on, and we are available wherever podcasts are streaming, including Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Definitely check us out and give us a 5-star rating because you like us. You really, really like us. And then check us out on YouTube. Just search the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. When you do that, anytime new content is created, a new video drops, anything, you will have a little ding, a little message will go off on your phone, and you could just click on the little link and go to our video. So easy, just do that. And as my man P said earlier, leave comments. Let us know your thoughts about this episode of Raw, the Attitude Era, anything you have to say, let us know. You ready, my man, to jump into War Zone?
I am. There's one thing I want to bring up.
Yes.
You had like mentioned about how excited that you was about seeing Owen Hart, and then they could have like kept the whole thing going with Owen Hart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, you still got Stone Cold Steve Austin at the time. So like from the Booker standpoint, it's like, okay, Owen needs his just due. If you're gonna do that to his brother, one of the greatest performers and greatest champions representing your company, then you got to give Owen a bone. But as you guys shall see, we shall definitely cover all of that later.
Yeah. Well, I feel like for me, and we'll cover it as we go. This has already been out, so there might be, we'll talk about it when we get there. I just feel like for me, in my opinion, Owen could have gotten some wins, and we'll get there. So we're in the war zone. We have the Disciples of Apocalypse taking on the Rock and Roll Express, who are representing the NWA with James E. Cornette by their side. The match starts. Go ahead.
I got to point out that Tony Kimmel called us a tag team distraction.
Oh, a tag team attraction. Love
it. It's not a tag team match, ladies and gentlemen. It's a tag team attraction.
Yeah,
scheduled for
nobody would
fall
want me to see it.
Time.
They're like using WCW tactics. We'll give you free tickets. Just watch DOA versus the Rock and Roll Express.
With on top of that, like the Rock and Roll Express. See, of course, like I was 9 years old. You know, I didn't know anything about the Rock and Roll Express. Had to go back and watch their work. But even like back then in this match, Ricky Morton was 42, and Ricky Morton and Robert I forgot the other dude's name. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Yeah, that was Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Sorry for all older smarts. Please don't chew me out in the comments. I had a little brain fart. Yeah, but like Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton, even in this match, once we get into it though, they move great.
Yeah, they did. They were really, really good, very fast. The only thing is I can't stop looking at the guy with the eye problem.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get there. So 8-ball nails, a really cool spinning side slam. Like you said, Rock and Roll Express with fast-paced action, a double clothesline. Cornette ends up hitting 8-ball with a tennis racket, and the ref catches him, hitting Skull with it, causing disqualification. Win for DOA. After the match, 8-ball attacks James Cornette, but Rock and Roll Express attacked DOA with a tennis racket. So NWA have been hitting and running. They've been friggin' taking advantage of the WWE guys. What do you think?
I guess Joe Cornette needed to get his comeuppance, so I guess that's the reason why they put this to happen or whatever. But then they turn around, they get their heat back. So I can't help but think, was that like Cornette trying to argue in the background once they told him that he had to get caught or whatever. I'm not sure.
They've been they've been very unstoppable.
Also, I should note that Ricky Morton was 42. I don't know if I said that earlier. I'm not sure.
No, you mentioned that. I think that they were older. They're kicking ass, man. Like the Rock and Roll Express. For me, I was always a WWE guy, so I didn't really know. The first time I were introduced to them was the 1998. Because when I was little, I would get the DVDs and the VHSs, and I would watch whatever I got, and I would see them, and I would be like, oh, these are the guys that were at Unforgiven taking on the New Midnight Express. And then I would see there's some of their old stuff, but I'm still relatively new to the Rock and Roll Express. So, but I can understand. They're like the Rockers before the Rockers were a thing.
And I should notice that they still are doing wrestling as recent as 2020 because
they've been taking bumps in AEW, man.
And then Ricky Morton did a fucking Canadian destroyer, and he was 42. And that dude had to be 60 in the 60s by this time. And the fact that they're still going to this day is amazing.
They're kicking ass, totally kicking ass. Speaking of kicking ass, go ahead. Go ahead. What was that?
I said, shall I lead?
Oh, if you want to, you could talk about the promo.
I guess you. So we now cut the Beaver Stadium where Cactus Jack cuts a promo. They missed Terry Funk, and they missed about all the wars that he did during all the other promotions that they wrestled, such as NWA, and I think they even did some ECW footage, if I'm not mistaken. No, I don't think Funk and I think Funk and Foley fought the ECW athletes, so I might be mistaken. So anyway, Cactus Jack even mentioned the fact, why would a legend like Terry Funk would dress up in pantyhose and call himself Chainsaw Charlie, but that's another man's business. So I guess that shut me up about my question last week. And then ironically, the next match is Mankind versus and what we're gonna call this, Gold Dude.
Yeah, I guess we could call him Gold Dude. He looks really stupid.
The match lasts 14 seconds.
Yeah, for real. And what happened?
before Austin comes out to a major pump, stuns Mankind and stuns the shit out of Dusty Rhodes. He stuns him so hard, and he literally his wig fell off when he came out dressed up as Dude Love or whatever, and. And then, like, I was, like Mankind took an excellent bump for the stunner too. I got to mention, but then that stunner that he did on Dusty Rhodes, beautiful, amazing. Mwah.
It was a comeuppance for last week,
I guess.
some kind of way. I again, interesting to see Goldust continuing dressing up as different characters. Yeah, interesting.
So for the next segment, which they've been hyping it all night, and I gotta tell you, I actually timed this. And another thing that I timed, remember back in the day they did the Warzone intro in the second half of the hour?
Yes, yeah.
The Warzone intro is like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And seeing how the average attitude era match might have lasted no more longer than 3 to 5 minutes. You gotta wonder that, like, the probably reason why they cut it so that way they can make matches even shorter, so that way they can have more 17 second match run-ins, whatever.
Yeah, it's like they focused more on the talking, and then the matches were like 15 seconds, and then okay.
Leading on for that, this announcement that they've been hyping it all night about Mike Tyson. Vince McMahon shows up to the Titantron. The crowd boos the shit out of him. King mentions that somehow, saying that they love him up here at Penn State. Vince mentioned that Tyson is going to be on Raw, the Raw after the Rumble, and we all know what happens from there. The segment was 44 seconds.
Yeah, I guess interesting to see. To see Mike Tyson, going to be involved in WrestleMania. Or I'm sorry, that he will be on with us with Raw next week. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I saw WrestleMania and I was like, ooh. Yeah, again, I didn't see this live, but I did see it, when I was in like 2000. So I was privy to, I knew who Mike Tyson was. I knew about all this, but interesting to see the hype behind it, to see how big Tyson was.
True. Anyway, Sunday comes out, and Ant, you want to lead us to our main event of the night?
Well, there's a couple of matches before. Oh, this is our main event. Oh my God, great.
Yep, exactly. This is our main event of the night, sir.
This is our main event. Well, Sunny comes out in her cheerleader outfit, which for me was main event. But we have the light heavyweight champion Taka Michinoku and Scott Taylor taking on Los Boricuas. And Boricuas get the win after a suplex. After the match, Owen Hart comes out and he attacks the Los Boricuas members with his crutch, getting payback for their attack on him last week. Not a lot of action here, not a lot of stuff going on, but it is interesting to see Owen come back, get his revenge, say, "Don't fuck with me, y'all, because I'm coming for Triple H." What do you think of that?
Well, you gotta wonder, are they just like protecting Triple H because he might be legitimately injured to take bumps or anything like that? Or trying to save him for WrestleMania 14 or the Rumble or whatever. Yeah, like as a matter of fact, they got a match at the Rumble, don't they?
Those Boricuas. No, Owen's they're just in the Royal Rumble match, Triple H.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so they might have been wrestling Triple H for WrestleMania. Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
But at the same time, I don't know, like I guess I needed like to watch the future episodes to see like how to build what they're gonna do up to it. Let's see. So I should also notate that Lawler tried to get some cheap heat by before the match, though, Lawler says that he might get into it with Tyson. JR, calls him out on this bullshit. Yeah. During the match, Kane makes some racist deportation jokes. I mean, I get it because of the storyline and what era that we're in, but King saying that he got 2 words for Taka, green card, and 1 word, deported, and I don't know, just very uncomfortable to like listen to back in the day.
Yeah, it's it's some ways people say it's funny, other people don't. It's I don't know, man. It's definitely a sign of the times. Well, speaking of that, DX come back out to the ring, and Shawn Michaels says that Kane and Paul Bearer have split ways. And DX would stand here with open arms like a family Kane never had, and they would accept Kane. And he then says, I would like to welcome our newest member of DX, Kane. Well, Undertaker comes out, and Undertaker tells Shawn Michaels, you need to keep my family out of this. If I were you, I'd be worried about the Royal Rumble. Triple H then hits Undertaker with his crutch, and Shawn Michaels nails the sweet chin music. He then hits Undertaker with a crutch as well, but then Kane comes down. He sends DX packing, and Kane and the Undertaker salute each other. So the two brothers are seeming to have each other's back going into Royal Rumble. And they're, even though DX is able to get the upper hand on Undertaker, the two of them are last standing. So there's also another segment really quick, and we'll talk about both of them at the same time. After this, a bunch of wrestlers come out and they're fighting in the ring with each other. And then Stone Cold comes out, and the Nation of Domination and Savio Vega attack Stone Cold on the stage and leave him. And you're left thinking to yourself, okay, is this too much for Austin to handle? 29 other guys trying to go after him. He's the one they're targeting. Let me throw it to you. What are your thoughts on the segment with DX and Los Boricuas, or I'm sorry, Savio Vega and Nation of Domination leaving Austin Lang?
On one segment, you got to think that this is really our main event segment, but then on the other, this has become one of the most legendary Attitude Era moments of all time.
Yeah.
Because we all remember that the whole salute, and then the explosion, and then the crowd pops, and the crowd ate it all up. So I guess, the people like it. Who am I to complain about it? So as far as the following segment is, of course, the usual Royal Rumble spot. We got to visualize. You can see all the wrestlers in the ring at the same time, which they have been doing now for the last 30-something years.
Yeah.
Like somehow, somewhere, we had to get the visual. We had to get the visual of a bunch of guys hugging on each other in the corner.
Yeah, it's I guess we'll see. Royal Rumble was going to take place that Sunday, so it was what did you think of it for a lead up to Royal Rumble? Though, did you think that if you were watching it live, you would have wanted to buy it, or did you think that this was a Raw that was kind of a little lackluster?
Well, just in case for anybody listening, if you guys don't know, I didn't start watching Raw heavily until that episode where Mankind won the WWF title.
Yeah.
So looking back at it, and even before I started watching Raw heavily, you heard of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was literally the hottest thing in 1998. So I say it's a mixed bag for me. It's a lot of wrestling, but then at the same time, as a lead up to the Royal Rumble, there is not too much. There's not too much you can complain about per se.
Yeah, and let's quickly go over some of the matches that will be taking place at Royal Rumble. That will be our next recap video. Royal Rumble '98 will be taking place in, if I'm correct, San Jose, California. You're going to see 30-man over the top rope Royal Rumble match. The winner goes to WrestleMania 14. You have Vader taking on the artist formerly known as Goldust, the WWE Tag Team Champions, the New Age Outlaws, defending against the Legion of Doom, who are coming to take those titles.
The Rock was taking on Ken Shamrock in the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes, sir. Of course. Yep, that was the match. And not the main event, but the WWE title on the line, the WWE champion, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, defending against The Undertaker in a casket match. Dude, this Royal Rumble was legendary. It's pretty much bringing up the fires from the depths of hell. And you'll see what we mean next week. P, do you have any last words? What was your favorite moment of the night?
The Stunner, easy.
The Stunner, yeah, it's fucking awesome. Awesome is just fucking phenomenal, man. He can do no wrong. For me, my favorite moment of the night, I like seeing Owen Hart take out Savio Vega, the Los Boricuas, because he got his comeuppance. And I'm just tired of seeing Triple H fuck with Owen Hart. It's time for Owen Hart to get his revenge. Be a Triple H tonight. I'm excited. So Stay safe. I'm trying to wrap it up. As I lose my words here, I think I'm on that song.
I got you. Well, let me do my first close out for this podcast. Yes. Thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate for the views. Check out for all the links to hear audio, listen to the podcast. Stay safe. We shall see you next time. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.